Oh, Cookie, do you have your tank?
Hmm?
Do you have your tank?
Oh, a brain coral. A brain coral. Brain coral.
I'm going to keep cracking the whip on Mike to crack the whip on you guys so we can keep things moving. Are we good to go? Yep. Keep going.
Do I have to restart?
We just got to get to the halfway point, 50 feet.
Am
is
I
halfway.
good?
Yeah, you're good, Parker.
Oh, I'm good.
Let's swim it all the way out. If you're having a hard time catching your breath, I understand that. You just stressed yourself out. If you can't catch your breath in the next 2, 3, 4 minutes, I want to know about it. Okay? Start the clock, all everybody at once. 10 minutes is all you need to do. Holding on till the 10 starts. That's how you have one. Hold on to your buddies. Just kind of tread water. Do whatever you need to do to float. If you can float on your back and lay there, I don't like you guys because I can't do that. Start. Ready, go. Yeah, back in the shade. That sun got me. Yeah, when we get in on that's the best scenario. Yeah. A broken toe is the best scenario, which, by the way, I think I have one right now. I almost fell down some steps a couple of days. Sometimes they do explode, but not if they're laying down. If they're already on the ground, they can't fall down. That's the whole idea. Sorry, Mike. All right, go ahead. We'll pick up our standard tanks back up now. We've all got these dust covers over the valves. Like on a dive boat, anytime you see a dust cover on the valve, it's generally assumed that the tank is full. So, as soon as you're done with your dive, you'll pull your dust cover off, dive's done, you'll leave the cover off. That way you'll know that, okay, this tank has been used. It's kind of just a good indicator. It may vary from dive to dive, different boats. If that's the case, they'll kind of explain that to you. Go ahead and pull your dust covers off. Visual inspection, make sure that O-ring's not cracked. That's the O-ring that seals the regulator. When you want to make sure you hold that up and out of the way so that it doesn't get tangled up as you put that on. You want to slide that on the valve side over. So once it's on, make sure your valve is, square to the back plate. So this one, there's no adjustment on it. We're setting this up to make sure that we've got our regulators on our right side. So when you put our valves on, they're set up just like that. So when you look at it, the inside here will fit right in this little groove in there.
You'll know when you get it because it just kind of fits right in there. There's a little dimple in the back of the valve.
Or if there's a problem with this gauge, if either one of those bursts, they're going away from me and they're protecting me from it. I don't have broken glass coming at me. I don't have parts coming at me. And then I open it very, very slowly, just barely cracking. There you go. Once
You're
you
going
got
to
it
look at your gauge, and by the time you look at your gauge, it's going to be back up and it's going to look normal. And you're going to be like, well, I got plenty of air. So every time you get in the water, make sure that valve is opened all the way. And then what, Mike?
and then close it back a quarter. Yep, just
A
like
little
that.
bit. Just close it a teeny bit. You need to make that decision. Do I have enough air to make the dive I'm planning? And so there'll be times when you've only used 1,000 psi out of this tank. Can you make another dive on that tank? Maybe, depends on the dive. Check. Does your regulators work? Can you breathe off of them and get sufficient amount of air?
Let's try that right now. So go ahead and grab your second stage, your primary one, which would be the black one. That's the one you're going to typically use most of the time.
The bright colored one is usually your secondary or your octopus, and that's the one that's, if somebody runs out of air, that's the one you're going to hand them.
Yep, and so if it free flows like that, and it can do that underwater too, you want to stick your thumb over the hole. Does that make sense, Jonah? So where if it's free flowing and you're just blowing, put your finger over it, it'll stop it. Yep. We're kind of also kind of
Good clean air. You need to have quality of air and quantity of air. I think everybody already decided they have the quantity of air is okay. And their regulators, both the primary and the second stages, are providing sufficient airflow, right, when you breathe on it.
Whoa. Our hose is on that side of our head.
Is there a specific?
Jonah, you having technical difficulties down there?
3 or 4 breaths, just feel comfortable. It's weird, it's different. You'll realize quickly you're just fine.
We're not going under? Absolutely, yep. You have to take a breath now and hold it. When you come to the surface, face down and exhale that breath and then start breathing normally. Your fin, if it comes out of the water on the surface, sometimes it does that, but you're not getting any power if you're picking up here. So it might flap around a little bit, but it should stay in the water most of the time. All right? On the surface, there and back. When you're ready, go for it. Is
Is it supposed to feel like if you're pulling your upper
No.
leg forward?
No, pull that. Then you need to adjust that a little bit. So like pull it a little bit longer. Up here. See if that does that help. It will come out of your mouth because it.
Yeah, that's better. I just want to make sure I got it.
Yeah.
And it's going all the way back, and you're actually holding it in your mouth with your molar, right? On those tabs.
Oh, can't overlap.
Because those tabs like, should be your molars, and you can just hold it in on that. It's about 3 feet forward. So, and maybe you can buy
Kids and adults or something like that, the stronger person can usually get their gear on first, because now I'm going to have to hold my gear plus lift his gear. So it doesn't have to be, but it's just a little helpful tip. Once it's on, hold it on my leg, he gets into it. I'm not holding it up anymore. I'm not lifting it. I'm just keeping him stabilized. because the boat's moving around and rocking, and he loses his balance now. His center of gravity has changed. So I'm just kind of stabilizing him until I can say, hey, you got it? Are you good?
Yep,
And he'll
I'm
say,
good.
yep, I'm all good. You can leave now.
Yeah, I'm thinking a lot easier.
Alright, yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
All right, when you guys are you and your buddy are all squared away, you've checked each other out, you don't have to stand here and carry that weight. You can head over to the steps and walk in the steps with your mask and fin in your hand. Yeah, forgot about that.
Same method, just figure forward, put our fins back on. But remember, they will sink, so be careful doing that.
It's more important that you see us so you can see how we're doing it. I don't want that sun to be an excuse for any of you guys. Oh, I couldn't see, the sun was in my eyes. No, 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 no.
Come on in here. Let's keep it.
Take your mask off and prove to me once again
You don't need a mask to breathe underwater. Regulator in, bend over, face down. Button on the end. And if to get it really all out, if you kind of squat down,
out of our mouth. Take it away, Mike. Demonstrate. Just describe it in detail and then just demonstrate.
So when I go through and take the regulator out of my mouth, again, I've got my fingers up, grabbing the hose like this, where it's nice and controlled, where I've got a good solid grasp on it. When I take the regulator out of my mouth, blowing constant little bubbles out of my mouth. Not a whole lot, just
A little
just
trickle.
a little tiny bit.
life or death. What happens to air as you go deeper in the water?
It's compressing and getting smaller. So that's your lungs. So your lungs are down, compressing as you go deeper. And then you take a breath and they get big again. If you take a breath at depth and you hold it as you go up,
That air is going to want to expand again, right? You guys follow that Boyle's law concept? If you're holding your breath, the air in your lungs and the air everywhere wants to expand. If you're holding your breath, that air expanding in your lungs is going to find a way out, one way or another. You need to give it a way out, which means this becomes your exhaust valve.
regulators in, mask on. We'll go on our knees. And Mike will demonstrate pulling that regulator out of your mouth, putting it back in, and purging it. We didn't get to that point yet, purging it.
So there's